Welcome, you're at Black Box Farm and Distillery. We're just outside of Saskatoon on Valley Road. My husband and I are grain farmers. We've been grain farmers and fuel and fertilizer dealership partners and animal nutrition consultants. And one day we said we wanted to do something that got us really close to the customer, and this is how it got started.
Barb and I are both ag grads from the University of Saskatchewan and farmed in a little community called Leask. Wonderful place, great soil. They had a great career of farming. And then when our children were small, we decided, well, we should do a little bit of traveling, and we wanted them to learn another language. So we moved to South America for a couple of years, and we came back, went back grain farming. And I think we had seen so many things in our travels that, one, we wanted to do something that was very connected with the customer. And the other thing we were looking at, then where would the next generations have a lot of opportunity? And we see a lot of opportunity in small scale farming.
We originally thought we were going to do winery and vegetables, and somehow that got onto flowers and a distillery. Growing flowers for the market, growing flowers for florists is a very rewarding thing to do. We get more hugs from strangers than we ever did hauling grain.
We have 80 acres here. It's not a lot of land. And there was nothing here when we started. So the property hadn't been farmed for 40 years. And we kind of began in earnest. So then we started to grow flowers. And flowers is a very good crop, grow very well here in Saskatchewan. We have a very short season, but because of our day length and all this kind of stuff, we can grow a superior product very quickly and get it out to the market.
We do about 7 acres of cut flowers. We have 12,000 lilies. We have over 250 different varieties of annuals that we grow. Then we have the perennial garden, which is a huge asset for us early on in the spring. We have about 4,000 tulips as well, and 9,000 gladiolas.
At the same time, we started planting orchards. So we planted raspberry orchards, haskap orchards, an apple orchard, and doing all this fruit production. And again, the same thing, you need more value than what you are just selling raw product. So now you have to do something with it. So naturally what comes to mind, well, we can make pies and go to the farmer's market, we can make preserves, we could make wine. There's very, very good producers of fruit wine in the province. Or, as we did, we built a distillery to make liqueurs. So the reason the distillery was here in the first place was to process all of our fruit.
We actually use some of the flowers as botanicals in our gin. We use calendula flowers that we grow. We use some of the pumpkin flowers because we've got the pumpkin patch that we have as well. So those are things that just help make our liqueurs and our gins and our spirits a little different than anyone else's.
Well, we do a haskap berry liqueur, a raspberry liqueur, and then we do one that's my personal favorite, is a honey and ginger. So in the springtime when the orchards are flowering, you get raspberries and haskap berries and all these very delicate flavors. We take that honey and we do a ginger maceration, and it's like drinking candied ginger. It's quite beautiful. And then we also make whiskey and vodka. Gin is very interesting. Gin was originally made in the old days as a medicine. So they were taking the botanicals that they wanted, you know, like the juniper especially was a diuretic. And so it kind of cleans out your system. So, you know, when the sailors were traveling around the world, they'd give them some gin because it was considered quite healthy. A very important part of what we do, a lot of it is very, very traditional, because some of the old style of spirits are very unique and you don't see them anymore. For example, we do a barrel-aged gin, which is phenomenal. But that's the way gin always was, probably 150 years ago, because everything was shipped in wooden barrels. Now we have stainless steel, we have plastic, so all your gin is clear. But the very traditional gin would probably be amber-colored and have those wood flavors and vanilla and all that kind of stuff to it. They're quite nice. Okay. So if you just tap on the bung from either side, it eventually comes out. So this is gin in here, and it's not ready yet. But I want you to taste it a little bit because around just before Christmas time, we'll take this out of the barrel and it'll be spectacular. So if you just hold on for a second, I'm gonna go get a glass for you to try. So we grow all of our grain, all of our fruit. We have the bees for making the honey for sweetener. And in some, if you can't see inside the still, but inside the still right now, we're ready to make gin this afternoon. So we've got juniper berries. We had started picking local juniper berries, but we found them a little bit unsuitable. Also in the still today are rose petals, rose hips that we've grown on the farm here, and a lot of other ingredients, rhubarb and whatever kind of flowers that we're making. Tomorrow in our next batch of gin, we're using smoked juniper berries. So we take them up to Pineview Farms and they have a great big smoker. We smoke all the junipers and then we'll add pumpkin flowers to that. We're gonna try and make a very nice smoky, spicy gin that you'll be able to enjoy in your Caesars. All right, so this gin, when it goes into the barrel, is clear. And it takes on color from the barrel. And this particular gin was quite spicy when we started. And we used choke cherries in it. So it had a nice tannin finish to it. So we'll just see how it's coming along. So. I think that'll be stunning in a couple months.
Wow. Oh, that's so good.
We just lost our producer.
Day to be out at the farm.
It is. It is.
It's always a beautiful day here, even when it's raining.
Well, you know, it's sort of funny when you're a grain farmer or whatever, and then you come here and you think of flower farming. It's quite cool.
Being farmers, it's always common to work with your neighbors, and we wanted to do that here as well. When we came into the community, we were fairly new. We went and got established with the neighbors, just introduced ourselves, let them know that we're here, and it's good to be working with neighbors.
A lot of the people who work here are actually volunteers. So very good friends of ours will come help us put together flowers. And so you're working with people that you love every day, and that goes for our staff too. We care deeply about them. And it's like having this little family unit, and what are you going to do? Well, you're going to make all this really cool stuff during the day, and it's like any other small business. You spend a lot of hours here. Like we'll spend, you know, we're out here first thing in the morning, and we don't go home until after dark. But we work together as a family.
This is definitely a family farm. My husband and I have 4 children, and they've all been very involved in the farm. A couple of them are around full-time in the summertime, and a couple of them are working elsewhere. We couldn't do it without them.
We've watched our parents grow up working together, and my wife's parents grew up in a farm setting where you spend many, many hours together very intimately, and yet eventually you have to critique each other on saying, well, you know, somebody screwed this up, and it was probably not me, right? So you have to be able to have those conversations, but they're done in a very healthy way. It's a wonderful way to raise a family. And they all look at it and they're very realistic now when they go out in life and say, no, you know, if I want to have my own business, then I know what this is going to take. It takes long days. I better figure out a way that I can involve my family. Otherwise, I'm never going to see them. And I think it's a good experience for them.
John and I are alumni from the University of Saskatchewan. They have a very good horticulture program, and they're very involved in doing a lot of unique things that will benefit us here on the farm. So we linked up with them to do some grape trial varieties. We also went to them when we were looking at planting our Haskap orchards. We were allowed to go into their breeding program and do some selections with them. Then also we are the home of the U of S lily collection, so we can provide the U of S lily for those that are looking for it.
A lot of these are very, very long-term projects where you're looking 20 years out in the future. But that's the way a farmer and a distiller think, because when we put something into a barrel to age, we know it's going to be good in 5 years. It's probably going to be better in 10. 20 is where we want to be eventually. So you're always thinking a long ways out in the distance. So now with our kids coming up, and hopefully they have interest in the business, if we start developing fruit varieties, they'll continue that forward. Now we get, a lot of plant scientists coming in and saying, oh, I ran into this 5 years ago. You guys have to try something like this. They get quite excited about it because rarely do they see anywhere where it goes from production into processing. And even the way we've designed the whole farm is about thinking how everything works together as a unit. So you always have to be thinking about not just what you're doing in your little location, but how you're affecting the outside area.
One of the things we wanted to do around here was bring people out. And so we have a pumpkin festival every fall. We grow about 15,000 pumpkins. We set up the yard. It's a playground for children. We have mazes made out of bales. We have games for the kids. We have horse-drawn wagon rides. Then we also have pumpkin soup and pumpkin pie and pumpkin donuts. But it's a really fun day for the family to come out.
So if you go to a beautiful little boutique restaurant and they've got 8 tables and you can see the chef working in the background. He's been at the farmer's market in the morning and he's using all the best quality ingredients. You know you're going to end up with something really special. Exactly the same with liqueurs. Fresh fruit, honey, being really careful what you're using for sweeteners, and you're building these flavors. It's just like building a wonderful meal. All right, so this is an example of what we get when we're all finished. So we notice black fox. We used to have a black fox living on our farm 20 years ago. And the black fox he was exactly the same family as a red fox, but it's an anomaly and a genetic aberration. And so it's something that's extremely unique, but familiar. We're all familiar with foxes on the prairies, see them running around all over the place. When you see a black one, it's just, oh, that's very cool. And that's why we've named our company that, is because everybody's seen a liqueur, but when you taste it, then you say, oh, that's really cool.
There are a lot of worse things that we could be doing. This is a lot of fun. We get to involve a lot of people. We also get to tell them about agriculture. John and I are very passionate about agriculture and what we do and what we believe in. We believe that agriculture is probably one of the most noble businesses on the planet that you could be doing. And it's nice to be able to share that with people. In a nutshell, our business is very heartwarming for us, which makes it very, very rewarding.
If you have program ideas that you'd like to see on maxTV Local On Demand, write us at max.local@sasktel.com.